All right, so our first question today is, what can I do to make sure I finish the SAT/ACT within the time frame? So I think a few of the things that we want to keep in mind is that whenever you're going into a test, you want to practice the material as much as possible. So practice tests are extremely important. I'm sure you do it when you're going to go for a regular test at high school. And practice tests exist all over the place. You can even get tutors, which we're going to go into a little bit later, and different areas, like on CollegeXpress.com. We have the SAT word game.
CollegeXpress.com.
CollegeXpress.com. But I think the biggest thing is take the time to take a practice test and see how much time it takes you, but also see how much time it takes you in the different sections. And then that way you can identify your weakness and really put time and effort into the areas that you're struggling with. And then that way you kind of know, you gauge better with where you are going and what your abilities currently are. And I think one of the biggest things is overrated or underrated is use common sense. When you're reading a question, don't overcomplicate things. Just read it, and what is your first gut reaction? Is it something that is simple and you should go for it? Don't get in your own head. A lot of the times you might be sitting there and you're like, okay, this is riding on how I get into college. Mm-hmm. So you might be overthinking things and struggling with that while you're taking the test, and I don't know about this, maybe I did it wrong. Mm-hmm. Go with your gut reaction, go with the first instinct. Usually you're going to feel pretty good about it. We'll get into the different sections a little bit later, but if you have the time to go back and double check when you have the time. Don't dwell on a question. Don't sit there.
Don't get bogged down in the details.
Yeah. And another really, really key thing, don't overstudy. Take the time to relax, do it in segments, take an hour, do whatever it is. Again, going back to the first point of taking the practice exam, take your practice exam and know where your weaknesses are, spend the time on those things, and don't overdo it, because if you keep doing it, you're going to get in your head, you're going to get stuck, you're going to hit a rut. Make sure you get some sleep. Mm-hmm. That's a huge, huge benefit to you and remembering things too. I don't know if you ever tried to run off of no sleep or very little sleep, but everything's a little foggy, and that could be a bad time. So
it's also like a 3-hour, 4-hour test. So it's a long time just sitting there, reading questions, answering questions. So want to get your sleep so you're able to sit there and focus. But also doing the practice tests will help you build that stamina to be able to do that, because I'm sure if you're taking a regular test in school, it's probably 40 minutes, like a regular class period. So you're not used to taking a long test like that. So you definitely want to practice with other tests and just do it a couple times, not just once.
I'd echo that. Practice tests are really the only way that you're going to know how it feels to be sitting through that much time of just straight up thinking and answering questions. So definitely do a practice test. And I think kind of in the same vein as not getting bogged down in the details is feel free to skip a question and come back to it. Yeah. If you are just, stalling on this one question, it's the clock just keeps ticking. So you're going to have to just come back to it, or, worst case scenario, you leave it blank rather than putting something incorrectly or spending all the time trying to figure it out when you have a lot of other questions to answer.
That's actually, I don't know if any of you guys know, but when I took the SAT way back when, if you got the answer wrong, it was worth
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why, and I honestly didn't want to
wrong.
say it because I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if that was still
I
true.
heard
No,
that
you don't
nowadays-
lose points.
You don't lose
Yeah,
points
I
if you
think
don't lose
nowadays
points
you
now.
want to leave it empty if you don't know.
Okay.
No, I don't think you do. I don't think you
You
lose
don't?
points now. I think you get 0 for wrong answers and 0 for if you leave it blank.
I think that's the new style.
So-
Oh, that's weird.
If you have a bunch of
We're showing our
blank
age.
answers right now, and you have 2 minutes left, just go and bubble in them all
Really?
C's. Just C's down the
Good to
line.
know if I ever.
Yeah,
You'll
we'll
get
get
some
New
of them
blog
wrong,
on
but
skipping
get
questions
some
on the
right.
SATs coming soon to collegeexpress.com.
CollegeXpress.com.
Hey, I know a thing. So ends up on the new SAT, there is no penalty for incorrect answers. So skipping or answering a question incorrectly results in the same score.
I think one thing that we also didn't mention too is wear a watch. I'm sure there's going to be a clock in the room too.
A regular watch, maybe not
Yeah,
like
right,
an
yeah,
Apple
yeah.
Watch.
That's, yeah,
Yeah.
very true. So yeah, just have something that you're able to keep track of time. Usually for each section, they're going to tell you exactly how much time you have in that section. So be mindful of where you are, what time it is, and how much time you have left, so that you're able to, again, see what questions you're struggling with, skip them, come back. You're like, okay, well, I still have 10, 20 minutes to go back and fill out the ones that I didn't have. You'll make yourself feel a lot more comfortable than sitting there dwelling on it, and then all of a sudden, time's over and you got nothing left.
Right.
Should we maybe do like the reading passages first, since those would probably take a little bit longer. That way you can like go back to the multiple choice ones, and those probably won't take as long. I think people recommend usually spending about like a minute on a question, because if you're spending like 5 minutes, that adds up so quickly. So maybe like a minute on a question, and then the multiple choice probably won't even take a minute. Like some of them, you could probably crank those out pretty quickly, and that time will help you with the reading passages. Because I'm a slow reader, so it takes me like 5 minutes to read one passage.
I think that was one of my biggest detriments. The first time I took the SAT was reading the passage. I was like, oh, it's going to be a lot easier if I just skim it. And I skim it, and then I read the question and be like, I got to go back and read that.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe
Yeah.
read the
Spend more
question
time.
first,
Yeah,
and then go back
very
and read the
detailed
passage.
read.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good
You
point.
know what
too.
you're
Yeah,
looking
that's a
for.
good one.
Yeah.
So I think those things all definitely help. Practice test, definitely number one.
Yeah.
You really need to get in there and see where you're going to be spending the most time, and then you can focus your study that way. Also, it just gives you a better groundwork of, okay, this is how long it took me. And then as you take another one, okay, I've gotten better. It's with anything in life. The more you do it, the more practice you get, the easier things become.
Mm-hmm.
I think also with time, just make sure you're not like trying to speed through questions because you're worried about running out of time. So like you're done in an hour and everyone's still on page 1.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, definitely pace yourself, but like have that, like each question have an idea of like how long have I been spending on this question.
Yeah.
Like think about it that way.
Right.